I mean, first, I think one thing we're seeing is the rapid remilitarization of Europe. Clearly, Germany saying they're going to increase their budget or double their military budget. That is a huge historic shift, given the history of Germany since the Second World War. It's going to have ripple effects right throughout Europe. Britain, we're being told now, although we're one of the big military spenders in Europe, we're being told we're going to have to increase our military budget, or at least there's plans to do that. So that's one thing. I think, obviously, there's going to be now massively increased tensions along the kind of, whatever you want to call it now, the Iron Curtain as it used to be between Eastern Europe and Russia. Recently, both Moldova and Georgia are talking now about actually joining NATO, which would be a huge development and very, very dangerous. So this is going to create permanent super tensions in that part of the world. And I also think that this is, in a certain sense, to go back to the China question, this is, in a certain sense, not just a proxy war against Russia by the US, but it's also about the bigger picture of the long-term geopolitical tensions between a rising China and actually a declining US. I've got a slightly different take from Anuradha, just on details about the fortunes of the US here, because I actually think that both the US and to a lesser extent, I think the Western Alliance faces quite a lot of serious problems as a result of this invasion. I mean, I agree in many ways with the overall sort of picture she painted, but I think the very fact that so many countries in the global South are abstaining, are kind of, taking a critical view of what NATO is doing, is in itself a problem for the US, and it's not something they are going to be particularly liking. I also think remilitarization of Europe is not an unambiguous matter from the point of view of Washington, although they've been arguing for it. There is, if you look economically at the long-term trends, to see Germany remilitarizing is not necessarily great news for Washington, because the EU has been playing a very, very critical role in this diplomacy. And although they've kind of shifted within the general framework that the US wants at the moment, I think the EU and the sort of European side of NATO is emerging potentially as quite an important player in this situation, which definitely creates problems.